I am your host, Lia Dunlap, and you are listening to the Oracle on Purpose podcast, where we help intentional leaders clarify their purpose and next steps to create a work and life of significance.
Are you leading with your weakness? Is there a flaw, a fault, a shortcoming in how you show up that you're convinced or have accepted based on other people's opinions is your weakness? And are you leading from that place or leading from your strengths? Now, I wonder if you know what I'm about to tell you. If not, pull up a chair, get a pencil, and prepare to have your mind blown. What if what you perceive is your weakness is actually your strength? In fact, what if it is the number one strength that once you embrace it can change everything? Hi, I'm Lia Dunlap. I'm known as the Oracle on Purpose. I serve business leaders, women especially, and entrepreneurs who are ready to really embrace the fullness of who they are, the authentic, whole, human and spiritual being that they be, in a way that allows them to be on purpose and to be prosperous and to live a life of true fulfillment. So today, during one of our calls, we discussed this theory, which is how we have the ability to take what we are either told or perceive as our weakness and really see the value of who we are as unique individuals and utilize that perceived weakness as a strength. And to understand and look at it from the side of the other side of the coin, if you will, of what some people might say is a weakness about you, or that you might even claim as your own weakness or fault or flaw. Some people might even call it their dark side, things like that. And utilize it not just to overcome it, right? To push it aside and say it doesn't matter or that somehow you've overcome it, but instead to turn around and embrace what it gives you as a strength. So we had some really great examples today from my clients about that. And one of them in particular, I think, was really powerful because the concept of what is seen as a weakness is pretty common. And that is being nice. One of my clients said the fault or the flaw that she was recognizing was people telling her that she's nice. And in that way, that makes it clear that it's not good. Oh, you're so nice, with that condescending tone. So when we talked about that a little deeper and dug a little deeper into that, she realized and shared that what she sees now, what she's recognizing and revering, is that form of nice, when you look at the strength of that, it's kindness. And her kindness allows her to step up for and support other people, especially her clients, to create transactions that are powerful and aligned and bring them joy and bring them to their ultimate success in their transactions. So why is it that we most often and kind of communally want to struggle or fight against or overcome what we see as our weaknesses? Well, I think first and foremost, it's the idea, this concept of striving and the hero's journey and overcoming that has really been perpetuated, even honestly, within the coaching community as a whole. This idea that hero's journey is inherently full of struggle, and it's about overcoming. It's about not even mastering. I think mastering is almost a better version, but it's about conquering these fears or doubts or frustrations or things we see as flaws. So that journey kind of sets us up to constantly judge ourselves for areas we would consider our weaknesses, our dark side, our less than perfect selves. When I work with my clients, really dive into is the wholeness of who they are. And in today's meeting, one of the things that we were talking about came from the purpose and prosperity work that we do. And it's based on my book, The Power Plan, and the videos that go along with it in my program. One of the lines that we've talked about and kind of dived into is this idea that understanding the reverence for ourselves, our unique selves, right? To know that you're a unique, powerful force in the universe. You are a unique, powerful force in the universe. And if you are reverent of that, right? If you hold reverence for that, then you must, in theory and, in logic, if you will, you must look at all parts of you as such, right? Something to revere. And so there's something in all pieces of who we are that are meant to help us be on purpose here in the universe. And that includes those things that right now you may or may not perceive as weaknesses or lacking in how you experience your world. So what do you do? What does it take to turn that tide? So I think the first piece, really honestly, and this is the part where you want to write this down, the first piece is to notice, right? Become aware of where you are calling out your own weaknesses. Become aware of where you are calling out your own weaknesses. It's one thing for other people to judge you from outside of you. They don't know you 100%. They don't know all the ins and outs of who you are and what you've done, what you've achieved, what you've accomplished, what you've gone through. So it's easy enough to kind of just dispute them as like, that doesn't matter. I don't know that person. They're just haters and all of that. The challenge on the next level really is understanding when you internalize and or create these judgments about yourself. Right? So when the voice is inside your own head, when the commentary that's running is happening inside of you, that's when the weakness is starting to poison the pond, if you will, right? So, number one, you got to be aware. You got to be self-aware. How do we become self-aware? Part of that is, what are we feeding our minds? What's your mental diet, if you will, right? Do you get up in the morning and start to instantly worry, right? Do you have a list that's like maybe even running before you open your eyes of all the things that are either going wrong or that you have to handle? Like, is your energy already moving in a way that it's looking for the negative? So that's one thing to consider. What is your mental diet? The other part of it is, what is your active practice? Another comment that came up today in regards to the video for this week was to understand that when you make a decision and take action, you have success. Now, there's a little catch in there, right? Because I know you're going, well, what if it's a terrible decision or a terrible action? Yes, but it's still a success. In other words, you still reached the end of the equation and you were successful. Whether the decision was bad or the action was bad, the result happened, hence the success. So where can we affect the version of the end result? At the beginning, right? What are we deciding? What are we holding true for ourselves and about ourselves? And what are we giving weight to within our own minds about who we are? Constantly reviewing every little decision in the past, everything that we don't think we have yet, all of those things. Are those things happening outside of us and we're internalizing them, right? Because in that moment, hopefully, before you're like awake, there's no one else but you. Whatever's happening, it's yours. You're creating it. You're perpetuating it. So you're in control of it. Breathe with me. You're in control of it. Now, it's a control with a little c, by the way. In other words, we're still connected to the greater source that is the universe. And because that source is moving through us as human beings with a human experience, that is our level of control, right? What we act upon, what we practice thinking, aka worry about, those are all things that are kind of in our little c control. So that's another piece of this. Like if you want to change the weakness you perceive, first you have to understand that you're having that thought. Then next you have to start to understand the first part of that breakdown. What is your choice? What is your choice to believe about yourself and your space in the universe? You know, Einstein made the comment about really believing that this is a friendly universe, that the universe is on our side. That's a terribly, by the way, so you don't go look up the exact quote. That is definitely a rounded version of that quote. But point being, we have the choice to decide. And when we react, right, take the action, we can do it from a place of reverence. We can see what's strong in us because of who we are and all of those aspects of who we are, and come from that place of strength and wonder and delight about being here. Or we can choose to become reactive and punitive and judgmental. Reactive, punitive, and judgmental. In what way do you start your day? What way you move through your day, right? So let's say, you don't know who I am, even though I just told you. You're just dropping into this conversation right now, and you think, oh my gosh, I got up this morning and I had this horrible thought in my head and it just ran away from me. At any given moment, you can start again. At any given moment, you can choose differently, right? That's no excuse, if you will, to continue down that road. So the sooner you recognize it, right, then the sooner you choose how you're going to be. The beauty of understanding it as a strength and then utilizing that strength, wielding that strength. And this is the last part, wielding the strength that you find behind the weakness with intention and discernment. One of the last things I wanted to share about call today that kind of got a lot of heads nodding was this idea that, if this thing that you used to call a weakness is now a strength, and you've chosen to revere it for its capacity to be a part of your process to fulfilling your purpose, then the last piece here is to use it with discernment. Use that strength on purpose and with intention. And I gave the example of an axe, right? An axe can chop down a tree. It's powerful as a tool. It's strong and it's powerful. But you wouldn't necessarily use it to cut a piece of cake, right? It would destroy the cake, right? It's not meant, that particular strength, the might, the power, the swiftness, the sharpness, right? It's not meant to cut a piece of cake. Conversely, if we look at what our strengths are and we go back to the original example of being nice versus kind, kindness doesn't always mean being nice. Kindness doesn't always mean being nice. Because it can mean that your being kind causes you to stand up for someone, when to say something bluntly and with strength and authority, right? And other people, and even maybe yourself in the past, might consider that not nice, to say the truth, to speak honestly, when it's actually the kindest thing you can do, because you're cutting through all of the noise, all of the distrust, all of the made up story and getting straight to the point. That's very kind. It comes from a loving place. It comes from the source of love to be kind. And that source is strong, right? It's powerful. That is not weak. So I wanted to share that today because I think that this concept of being challenged by ourselves, committed to what we see as our faults, as reasons or excuses not to have the fullness of our life that we can, that we're born to, that we're literally created to, right? That is a crutch And sometimes it's a hurdle to our full fulfillment of purpose and self, to being authentically here, which is the point. The universe wants you, that unique, powerful force in the universe, because that's what you are. And everything about you is part of that unique, powerful force. So if you are someone who understands by listening to me today that you may be challenged by falling prey to thinking of your shortcomings, your dark side, your frustrations, all of it as some sort of weakness that just leaves you helpless to really make any big shifts, or stuck or overwhelmed where you are with what to do next, please reach out. I would love to be able to help you understand for yourself and to see and to be valued in the fullness of who you are, to give yourself to this world the way you were meant to. All of it. Your full, authentic, beautiful self. And if that sounds exciting, maybe even a little bit impossible right now, but just the thought of that being true feels invigorating, maybe a little exciting, then just comment below. Comment, I'm in. And I'll reach out and we'll set up some time and we'll talk about some options for helping you move forward so that you can really embrace all of who you are. All right, thanks for watching. I'm Lia Dunlap, the Oracle on Purpose. Remember, you are here on purpose. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Oracle on Purpose show. If you found value in this episode, we'd appreciate you leaving a comment. Also, you can subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't yet. If you'd like to get clear on your highest vision and next steps, go to oracleonpurpose.com. See you next week.